It is the agenda for the 21st century you're living in today. For a brave new world where everything that you cherished and held true will no longer exist.
Hurricane Matthew's trail of destruction has stunned residents there who now have to live with the aftermath. The death toll reached 842 on Friday.
Matthew barrels north now. Florida Governor Rick Scott is warning, quote, the worst part is yet to come.
Talk to me loud. How you guys doing over there? You guys doing okay? Are you worried? Are you worried?
The Category 3 storm is scraping the shoreline as we speak. Top winds 120 miles per hour.
For anyone who said they thought this storm was over, this is Matthew making its full fury known here. We've moved inland from when we talked to you last, and with very good reason. Daytona Beach Police Chief was just telling me this is the tough part, and it is only going to get worse from here as the eye gets closer and closer, the winds get stronger and stronger, the rain intensifies, and the storm surge as well. It's physically painful.
And we were getting gusts of, it had to be 85, 90 miles an hour. Seeing trees bending in ways I've never seen trees bend before.
And so I just want to emphasize to everybody that this is still a really dangerous hurricane, that the potential for storm surge, flooding, loss of life, and severe property damage continues to exist, and people continue to need to follow the instructions of their local officials over the course of the next 24, 48, 72 hours.
It was 108, the final price.
For one day?
For one day, yes ma'am.
In Winter Haven, Kimberly Hudson wants to know why the daily rate on a rental car more than doubled as evacuations got underway Wednesday.
It wasn't right to do to customers that needed vehicles to get out of a storm.
In Tampa, Ray Thorne needed a flight out of Miami to bring his daughter home before Matthew hit.
It's usually anywhere from $95 to $135. And as soon as the announcement was made that the school was closed, I refreshed the computer screen and the flight ticket was $895.
What's your guesstimate on how long it took the price to jump?
Less than 15-20 minutes.
The Attorney General's office reports more than 2,000 complaints of price gouging. Everything from the quadrupling of bottled water to increased rates for gasoline, even hotel rooms. For businesses where they're able to verify the complaints, well, they face fines of between $1,000 and $25,000.
$199 to $215.
Scott Stapleton in Winter Haven called the AG's office to report gas stations jacking up prices from 20 to 50 cents per gallon overnight.
Going down that Wally Road. Going down. Going down that Wally Road.
It has caused nearly 600,000 power outages in the state of Florida, a number that is only expected to climb. And in some areas, well, this is precisely how those outages came to pass. Take a look at this. Merritt Island, Florida, the place where rains and especially strong winds took down a power line. State officials say they do, again, anticipate more than 1 million Floridians could be eventually without power.
Transformer blowing in Cocoa Beach. See it there in the distance, that white flash.
The counterclockwise winds around the storm pushing the ocean water against this vulnerable coastline. So North Florida into Georgia, into South Carolina could potentially be life-threatening. And the dangerous swirling winds creating potentially devastating surges, picking up that ocean water and pushing it like a wall into the land.
The storm surge, which the officials have been most worried about, has been carrying the waves in that ocean into the downtown area.
Give us a sense of what that's meaning for the storm surge, that all of this water is being pushed all the way up from West Palm Beach, from Melbourne, from here.
That's why they're saying we're looking at a 12-foot storm surge, just for that reason. That water is going to be pushed in, and you have high tide on top of that, and you have the waves on top of that. It's going to create a potential hazard here.
The Georgia Governor Nathan Deal ordering mandatory evacuations for 500,000 residents in 6 coastal counties and voluntary evacuations for 100,000 more in low-lying areas west of Interstate 95.
Meanwhile, conservative commentator Matt Drudge is being criticized for implying that the government is in fact lying about the intensity of Hurricane Matthew to make a point about climate change. Yesterday, Drudge tweeted this, and I quote, "The deplorables are starting to wonder if government has been lying to them about Hurricane Matthew intensity to make exaggerated point on climate." Drudge went on. Hurricane Center has monopoly on data, no way of verifying claims. NASA ground observations did not match statements. 165-mile-an-hour gusts? Where?
A wildfire is burning through hundreds of acres of tornado debris in Coleman and threatening nearby homes. The fire started around 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon. Firefighters have been out there battling this blaze ever since. They don't know what started it just yet, but they tell us it has been a perfect storm. These dry conditions, the humidity, and the wind have made it very difficult to keep that fire contained.
Well, China is on alert for the 19th typhoon of the season as air lurches westward in the South China Sea. The National Observatory issued a blue alert on Thursday. Forecasters say the typhoon will bring gales and rainstorms to China's southern coast. The provinces of Fujian, Zhejiang, Guangdong, and Hainan are in the thick of preparations.
These caves, perched above the village of Savnov, once served as a place to hide from raiding bandits. That was 2 centuries ago. Now villagers in Tajikistan's Pamir Mountains are facing a new kind of threat.
The climate is slowly changing. It's getting hotter, and the glaciers on Labnazar and Fedchenko are melting faster.
The Labnazar Glacier looms over Savnov village. Waters from mountain glaciers allowed people to settle here and farm the land. But weather patterns have changed, making it harder to plan for the sowing season.
Birds are coming later. During harvesting, we had problem with birds which are eating. Now we have no problem because it's changing climate. We earlier plant and we earlier also get at the harvest.
They say warmer temperatures have also increased outbreaks of fungal diseases in their crops, but it's the melting glaciers that are of most concern. This is one of the newest lakes in Tajikistan. It was formed last July when a mud flow caused by glacial melt swept across a valley and blocked the Gund River, creating a natural dam that submerged homes and a portion of the M41, better known as the Pamir Highway. Waves of water carrying glacial sludge came crashing down the valley. 80 houses were destroyed.
What the fuck is that?
A nasty situation along the Collier County coast. Hundreds of dead fish now washing ashore. These pictures were taken this morning on Barefoot Beach, and right now red tide is believed to be responsible, but Hurricane Matthew likely played a role in bringing all of this onto our shore.
Hundreds of dead fish have washed up since about 11:30 this morning. As you take a look at the video I just shot a couple hours ago, this is a result of red tide, and a reminder, if you have respiratory problems, it could give you fits. There's hardly any people on the beach today, and good reason with all this fish that washed up here.
New regulations governing the extraction of natural gas through fracking will go into effect on Saturday in Pennsylvania.
Investigation is underway in New York following yet another oil spill at the Indian Point power plant. Hundreds of gallons of oil leaked into a draining canal, possibly leaking into the Hudson River, leaving many people at risk.
It was just last week that 600 gallons of oil spilled into a drainage canal leading into the Hudson River. The Department of Environmental Conservation and the Department of Public Service launched a comprehensive review of the spill at the Indian nuclear plant led by Governor Andrew Cuomo. Both state agencies announced that they would look into the matter as it pertains to the operational reliability and the safety of the aging nuclear power plant.
The Korean peninsula is no longer under the direct influence of Typhoon Chaba, but the southern parts of Korea that were battered by the storm are still grappling with rescue and recovery operations. And more reports on the extent of the damage are still coming in. 3 casualties were reported in Busan. Among them is a construction worker who was killed after a crane toppled over, and an elderly woman who died after falling from the roof of her house. 3 casualties were reported in the nearby city of Ulsan, which was also slammed with torrential rain and powerful winds. The General Insurance Association of Korea reported Wednesday the typhoon caused more than $9 million in damages. More than 500 homes have been flooded and more than 1,600 vehicles submerged.
Tuning in, the Consumer Product Safety Commission is just now recalling the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 smartphones. This recall involves any phone sold before today. The company received 92 reports of batteries overheating. 26 of those resulted in burns and 55 resulted in property damage. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is also looking into reports of other models overheating as well.
A Southwest Airlines flight at Louisville International Airport was getting ready to take off when a passenger, Brian Green, powered down his Note 7. That's when the phone began making a popping noise and started smoking. He took it out of his pocket, threw it on the ground, and then the Note 7 burned through the carpet and smoke seeped into the cockpit, leading to the evacuation of the entire flight.
Look at this. The St. Pete man says his brand new Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phone started a fire that torched his beloved Jeep. There's been a nationwide recall on those devices after dozens have also caught fire.
It was a moment to shake, if not the world, then certainly its currency markets. Sterling losing 1/10 of its value in a matter of minutes.
The fourth strategic economic dialogue between China and India has concluded in New Delhi. This year's high-level dialogue themed development, innovation, cooperation, and mutual benefit. It's the first of its kind since Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi assumed power in 2014.
Creepy clown sighting in the East Bay turned violent today. Tonight, one mom told KPIX5's Kristen Ayers the clown tried to grab her one-year-old daughter.
I've never encountered something like this.
Tiffany Martin was still in shock when we spoke to her this evening. She'd just had lunch with her one-year-old daughter Kasani at Denny's in Concord. It was at this bus stop that she met the clown, a white male with dark hair covered by a curly blue wig, wearing a full clown suit. You didn't think it was weird that a clown came and sat next to you?
No, I thought he was about to get on the bus. It's not weird to me because clowns are peaceful to me.
But this clown was no joke.
We were sitting there, he was playing with her. I thought he was going to kiss her hand. Instead, he pulled her arm, literally. So I pulled her arm back and I kicked him.
The description's going to be a blue hat, blue curly hair, polka dotted, rainbow colored outfit.
The clown is still at large. She was last seen running this way down Willow Pass Road and was seen by witnesses who tweeted about it. I saw a clown at a bus stop in Concord on my way to school, one person tweeted. Another user, a clown was seen on Old Concord Road jumping in front of cars.
We take this very serious. I mean, this is a total stranger who walked up and grabbed a one-year-old child and tried to forcefully remove her from her mother's arms.
Concord police spent the day trying to track down surveillance video and searching nearby trails for any signs of a discarded clown costume. They say this may be a copycat crime after a raft of so-called creepy clown threats made on social media. The posts have threatened violence against schools from Fairfield to Oakland and Antioch.
Since you have all these clown stories going around, you're going to have those copycats who are trying to commit crimes in clown costumes.
Tiffany just wants the man found before he strikes again.
I don't trust walking by myself.
Clown sightings have been scaring people all across the country, and as CBS 2's Ali Bauman reports, these threats are now reaching our area.
It's twisted. Why are they clowns scaring kids?
Now the city is keeping an eye out for these inconspicuous suspects. The 109 precinct in Queens tweeting out, "The increase in creepy clown sightings is dangerous. It causes panic and alarm. Please don't take part."
Across the country, we've seen this trend. We have about 20 states involved in clown threats, clown sightings, clown crimes.
Last week, this boy from New Jersey claims he ran from a clown in Phillipsburg. Days later, Kalikwe Owen showed me where he spotted two clowns lurking Wednesday night. And on Friday, some Suffolk County schools went on lockdown after Twitter threats from a Long Island clown account.
We've drilled down on this in New York as we've had different Facebook threats. And this is our threat analysis unit that's engaged in this work. Different online threats.
With Halloween just around the corner, some New Yorkers are worried about telling the difference between friend and foe.
I'll probably run, honestly. I'm not a fan of clowns, to be completely honest, so I don't think many people are, especially just like hanging out in the neighborhood.
There's a lot of strange people in New York already.
With Halloween around the corner, any other costume this year might get a break. But this year, creepy clown sightings from North Carolina to Pennsylvania are coming with tales of clowns trying to lure kids into the woods.
They started calling us, cursing at us, and all this other stuff. It was scary.
A clown did this?
Yes, a clown did this.
This week in Milwaukee, a fake clown's Facebook account threatened 5 separate school shootings.
In Melbourne, Long Island, are scared to walk outside after police say a 14-year-old boy was chased by a knife-wielding attacker wearing a full clown costume. 12-year-old Nadia Daly has heard a lot of scary stories.
At first, I didn't really believe it, but now I see, because one of my friends showed me that they saw a clown with a knife sitting on the swing, so just a couple blocks from here, and with the knife, and I kind of got really scared.
The student wasn't hurt, but the incident has left a frightening impression on many children and parents.
Seeing a clown with a knife, that's scary. I wouldn't know what I would do.
Pakistan shares its largest and most porous border with Afghanistan, stretching over 1,500 miles. Until recently, the cross-border movement at the northwestern Pak-Afghan-Torkham border was exposed and was open to elements that could easily penetrate Pakistan.
Before the border management policy was put in place, there was a free movement at the Torkham border of at least 40 to 45,000 people. But after the National Action Plan has been implemented, the movement has been restricted significantly.
The National Action Plan also concluded that undocumented Afghans in Pakistan were a serious concern to national security, and the Afghan camps were becoming safe havens for terrorists and Taliban sympathizers.
Devastating airstrikes by a regime and its allies. A catastrophic humanitarian situation. ISIS and Al-Qaeda taking advantage of the chaos. And a bitter proxy war. All taking place in one ravaged Arab state. You'd be forgiven for thinking this is Syria, but it's not. This is Yemen, and a war that commands a fraction of the headlines, but is no less brutal for civilians caught in the crossfire.
Four of the biggest figures in global finance wrestling with a fundamental problem about growth.
Too slow for too long, benefiting too few.
China is one of the few bright spots. Growth may be slowing, but the economy is being rebalanced to encourage more consumption and less waste from non-performing industries. The central bank is optimistic.
I have more confidence on the stability of Chinese economy than before. I think the GDP continue to grow at from 6.5 to 7% range. And also employment is good.
And yet as developed countries stall, they're becoming more and more dependent upon countries like China to pull them along.
This is just not enough to respond to more than 200 million people looking for a job in the formal sector. Not enough to deal with the backlash that we are seeing in many corners of the world.
And protectionism is on the rise as global trade declines. Donald Trump and the architects of Brexit are among populist movements that are turning away from established free trade deals.
More people don't trust their elites.
Yes, Hillary Clinton is losing her mind after seeing this new poll. Danny Gold at Liberty Writers reports this is amazing news. He says, seriously, anyone who wants to see Hillary Clinton faceplant into the dirt is going to love this. He writes, Hillary may think she's ahead after the first debate. He says, I mean, that is what her MSNBC drones are telling her. But a new poll from the LA Times proves that could not be further from the truth. If you have a Yahoo account, then you've already been scanned by the Obama administration. Well, get ready for the death parade. A float of Hillary Clinton in an electric chair is now shocking an Indiana town.
We now have a statement, a joint statement from the National Director of Intelligence and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And this statement points the finger at Russia for the recent hacking and leaking of emails.
An image of Putin appeared before millions of New Yorkers. Take a look at this image. Yes, that was hanging off of the Manhattan Bridge.
Video footage bearing the logo of Islamic State's Amaq news agency says a U.S. airstrike hit a school and mosque in Iraq's Mosul. In the video, a missile can be seen hitting a domed building, causing a huge explosion. The unverified footage emerged a day after Iraqi police said an airstrike killed 20 Sunni tribal fighters mistaken for Islamic State militants. It's unclear which country's aircraft carried out that attack.
Well, amid U.S. South Korean drills, Pyongyang is now vowing to defend itself with nukes. Yes, according to Sputnik News, they report that North Korea has warned of dire repercussions for any preemptive attack. Last week, the U.S. and South Korea navies participated in provocative military drills in the Sea of Japan that were aimed at demonstrating a show of force in the wake of the North's recent nuclear tests.
First, on Ukraine, one of the things that many people recognized about you was that you, during the revolutions of 1989, funded a lot of dissident activities, civil society groups in Eastern Europe, in Poland, the Czech Republic. Are you doing similar things in Ukraine?
Well, I set up a foundation in Ukraine before Ukraine became independent
of Russia. And the foundation has been functioning ever since. And it played an important part in events now.
The world seems like it's falling apart. ISIS rampages, there are heightened tensions between world powers, and there are also natural disasters seemingly much more fierce than in years past. Well, many people are asking, where is God in all of this?
It often happens that in the darkest night, against the backdrop of all the things that seem so awful, we see God in a way we could never see him in any other situation.
But what do these signs actually mean? And are these signs that, this is the end of the world?
Well, the Bible tells us we cannot know the day when the Lord Jesus comes back and the world as we know it will end. But it also tells us that we should keep our eyes open for the signs that tell us we're in the season. And I think any student of the Word of God and of history and of culture today would say, we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime or some other lifetime, but we're in the season. There have never been so many unprecedented happenings on the stage of the world as there are today.